Now entering the truth zone, deep into the vortex of the information revolution with your host, Michael B.
Welcome to the Truth Zone. I am your host, Michael B., broadcasting live from North Dallas, Texas. And first off, thank you very much to all of you that took the time last week to listen to my show. The audience doubled, doubled from the prior week. And I thank you very much for that. So, obviously, I must be on the right course. I got some very nice, encouraging feedback to keep pressing on, to keep sharing the knowledge. And, you know, that is very encouraging because, you know, I really don't take phone calls. The phone number is posted. No one is called in. And that's okay because really, with an hour show, I don't really have time to really talk to people on the show. And for those of you that have been listening steadily, I go way past the hour most times. So sometimes I think I'm talking to myself, but when I check the statistics and I see that the show has doubled in audience, that's really encouraging and it's really exciting. And I very much appreciate that. So right off the bat, this just came across my laptop moments ago. See, and this is when we have, I want to say, the word rational comes to mind. When we have a rational judicial body as opposed to an illogical, irrational political ideology on the left. The Supreme Court, this just broke on CNN, and I'm sure many other affiliates, that the Supreme Court will allow parts of Donald Trump's, it's really America's, travel ban on 7 of the worst countries that sponsor terrorism. And they're going to hear oral arguments in the fall. And so I believe, honestly, after these arguments are heard, I think the Supreme Court will even add more parts of the ban into play. So I'm very optimistic. I'm very optimistic with this decision that it seems like automatically, even before hearing oral arguments, that they are upholding parts of it. So this is what I've been able to gather. The court is allowing the ban to go into effect for foreign nationals who lack any bona fide relationship with any person or entity in the United States. So in short, if a person doesn't have a family member already here and can prove that, or isn't going to be a student at one of our universities, or isn't coming here for a job, they don't get in. Now, there's nothing in here about the refugee situation or what have you. This would tell me, these refugees pouring in, none of them, and I'm talking about in Europe, none of them have any kind of ID, really. So what I'm gathering from this, and I guess more light will be shed on it, that this refugee program crap is going to be put to a halt. If you don't have relatives here, if you're not coming here for a job, if you're not coming here for an education, you don't get in. So I'm hoping that I'm reading this correctly. So this should definitely slow down the influx of so-called refugees, which, quite frankly, it's been shown that 75 to 85% of the so-called refugees are military-aged men. In effect, they are actually abandoning their wives and children, if they have any, and they're flooding Europe and coming into Canada and the United States, and they're coming in through the southern border as well. So I'm hoping that there's going to be more details on this, but this is extremely, extremely encouraging. Now, last week, I got into more of the spiritual realm about good versus evil. Today, it's going to be basically more political, more earthly stuff today. I've got 2 clips of Sean Hannity slamming fake news, and I got to tell you, I see something really good happening here. Not only is Hannity basically gone rogue from the mainstream media game plan. Really, they protect each other. Yeah, Fox News seems more conservative, and they hammer the liberals. Yeah, but kind of softly. Hannity is going for the throat. And I wonder what his ratings are at this point. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to start watching Hannity. I haven't watched Fox News really since the debates and the election coverage. I haven't had the need for mainstream media because mainstream media thinks we're all stupid. And perhaps a lot of us are. But Hannity is really going for the throat. And here's what I see happening here. One of 2 things. Either Fox News is going to like it, they're going to like the ratings hike, which I wonder if Hannity, if his audience is increasing, or they're going to fire him somehow, and he goes independent. And quite frankly, he could be as big as Alex Jones over the internet, like overnight. I mean, this guy could take his entire audience and then some and run wild with Hannity.com and his own news network, his own channel like Mark Levin is doing. He can just go wild with it. So I see nothing but good things from Sean Hannity basically going rogue. I mean, really going outside of the mainstream media model. Yeah, Tucker Carlson, he has some teeth. I've heard some clips, but he's still a little whiny and still a little soft. But Hannity is going, boom. I mean, his teeth are bored. And I can't stand when I say too much, his fangs are out and he's hitting it. And I like that a lot. So, good things. Now, so in conjunction with the travel ban, I really didn't go over the list of the daily Muslim attacks and the murders that they commit throughout the world. To encapsulate basically last week, June 17th through the 23rd, worldwide, there were 39 attacks, 317 people were killed, 556 injured. There were 12 suicide blasts, and these attacks took place in 15 countries. Now, mind you, and it even says on the religionofpeace.com/attacks website, they don't catch all of them. It's impossible. So these numbers are basically the lowest that they've been able to gather, you see. So when we say 317 killed, that's the bottom number. That's all they've been able to gather. Can you imagine what they haven't? Could be another 100 for all we know. So yesterday was quite busy. There was 4 attacks. Medan, Indonesia, 1 killed, 1 injured. A policeman on a rest break is stabbed to death by religious extremists yelling all-night snack bar. Aldana, Syria, 10 killed, 30 injured. Terrorists set off a car bomb at a market, bringing down 10 patrons. And I'm sorry for that stupid chirping. I should have covered that dumb bird. He's really annoying. Speen Mark, Pakistan, 6 killed, 2 injured. 6 young children are killed and 2 others badly maimed by a toy bomb. Yeah. Hawija, Iraq, 7 are killed. 7 civilians are slaughtered by the Islamic State and then cut into small pieces. I don't know if that was a snack. I don't know if that was a sacrifice to Satan, a.k.a. Allah. I'm not really sure. The 24th was also very busy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 attacks. Salah Dam, Afghanistan, 10 killed, 4 injured. 10 guards at a dam are machine-gunned point-blank during a surprise Taliban attack. Saudi Arabia, Mecca. Nobody was killed, but 11 were injured. A suicide bomber targets the Grand Mosque. You see, these people even whack each other. And since we're on that subject, this is coming from the Des Moines Register via Infowars.com. Chris Menahan wrote this article. A 22-year-old Muslim woman was arrested in Iowa after she was caught by security cameras setting fire to her own mosque. You see, these people will do these kinds of attacks, creating false flags to try to pin white patriots into doing that. Now, what is a false flag? A false flag does not mean that the incident was fake. The incident was quite real. The concept of the false flag, and I explained this last month when I first began the show, the British came up with the false flag. If they wanted to get into a skirmish with the Spanish, let's say, as an example, for a country to start a war, you need the support of the people, right? Because you then have to build an army, and army consists of people. So what they would do is they would take a Spanish flag, they would raise it on a British ship. With that ship and the Spanish flag, they would attack another British ship with the British flag and then blame the Spanish for starting the war. That would incite the people to get angry. That would incite them to want revenge. And they would be on the side of the king in declaring war. You see, that's what 9/11 was. 9/11 was the biggest false flag perpetrated in American history. There's no doubt that it was an inside job. There's no doubt that entities within the American government allowed it to happen, and it got me hooked. I totally wanted bloodshed, right? I was all excited for shock and awe in 2003 against Saddam Hussein. I loved it. I watched it, and yep, I watched CNN. I did. And I got all excited for it, and I wanted Saddam Hussein's head and the whole schmear, not knowing I wasn't educated on all the particulars. So, it definitely worked. The country overwhelmingly wanted war with Iraq and Afghanistan. Overwhelmingly. Of course, then we learned what was really behind it. So, this event here by this 22-year-old Muslim woman, whose name is Aisha Ismail. Yeah, okay, whatever. This is what a false flag is. Des Moines firefighters and police were called to the Islamic Center of Des Moines about 10 a.m. There had been a small fire on the carpet, according to a Des Moines police report. Security cameras in the mosque showed a woman, again identified as Aisha, looks like Ismail, but I guess that's supposed to be Ishmael, pouring lighter fluid on the carpet and then starting the fire, said Des Moines police spokesman Sergeant Paul Parizek. Ismail was not on the scene when police and firefighters arrived. And the police said her motive was unclear. Right. There are no indications that this fire was a hate crime. Excuse me, Parizek said. Ismail attended the mosque, he said, adding that her motive for the fire was unclear. It doesn't appear that she was trying to burn the place down. It seems like she was trying to make a statement. Yeah, and here's the statement. The statement has to be that she wanted to create a situation where a non-Muslim would be blamed. I don't think it's to make a statement. Is she a liberated Muslim? Is she upset that she has to be in a separate room to worship? Is she upset that she has to wear either a beekeeper suit or a hijab? Is that her statement? Either way, it's a hate crime. She either hates non-Muslims and wanted to try to frame them, or she hates her own religion. So instead of walking away from it, she decides to start a fire. And now I assume that charges will be brought up against this young girl, and jail time, who knows. But yeah, she made a statement, all right. She sure did. And it certainly is a hate crime. Aren't all crimes hateful? I don't think that, and I always laugh at that. You have to attach a hate crime to it. Why? Why does a hate crime have to be attached? Isn't crime in and of itself hateful? I've never known someone to punch someone in the face out of love. I've never known someone to clean out somebody's bank account and run off with the money out of love. Right? I've never known someone to stab another person because they want to give them some love. So, in and of itself, crimes are hateful. So I kind of chuckle about this hate crime stuff. So we go back to the 24th, and we've got Srinagar, India. 1 killed, 1 injured. A Lashkar-e-Toiba attack leaves 1 dead. Whoever that. I mean, there's so many different terrorist sects of Islam. It's hard to keep track. 1, 2, 3 in a row come out of. No, I'm sorry. 2 come out of Iraq. Himrim and Mosul. Total 13 dead and 15 are injured. 10 women and children are dismembered by a bomb blast, and shoppers at an arcade are just blown sky high by 2 suicide bombers. So, the Supreme Court at least holding up some parts without even hearing arguments of Trump's travel ban is very, very encouraging. So, enough of my voice. I just want to play the first audio clip of Sean Hannity, where he is very explicit in his attack on the mainstream media, which is so overdue by a major stalwart broadcaster. Here's Sean Hannity, clip 1.
Back to Hannity. All right, remember back in 2007, 2008, I kept saying journalism in America is dead. And every week right here on this program, we uncover more and more examples of bias, anti-conservative, anti-Trump, destroy Trump news. That makes my point. Tonight, I want to expose 2 men who are largely responsible for peddling all of this political propaganda. This is an important, revealing mini monologue. All right, each and every day, CNN, MSNBC, they churn out that healthy dose of liberal spin conspiracy theories to their viewers. Who is behind the Destroy Trump media strategy? Now, look no further than the fake news chiefs themselves. The president of CNN Worldwide, Jeff Zucker, the chairman of NBC News, MSNBC, Andy Lack. So what do we know about Zucker and Lack, besides that they'll never hire me and I never want to work for them? First, Jeff Zucker, Harvard-educated, longtime Manhattan, New York elitist. He rose up the ranks at the very liberal NBC before finally moving to CNN to become its president in 2013. And recently, Zucker was quoted in Variety as saying, "It's really the renaissance of journalism in America because of the nature of what is going on." Really? The renaissance of journalism? Okay. Let's pause for a minute to take a look at what the so-called renaissance of journalism looks like at the Clinton News Network. Let's take a look.
It's like we're just covering bad reality television is what it feels like now.
It's a grotesque abuse of power by the President of the United States. This is the kind of thing that goes on in non-democracies.
Apparently, the president gets 2 scoops. You know, everyone else around the table gets 1, and no word if there were sprinkles.
At the dessert course, he gets...
Okay, first off, the United States of America is not a democracy. It's a representative republic. And the presidential election proved that, where we really do have, every vote does really count in this country, and everyone in all 50 states actually do have a voice. If we were a straight-up democracy, the state of California would have put Hillary Clinton into the White House. And we all know, and there's too many reports to deny it, between 3 and 5 million votes were illegal. Okay? We know that to be true. And if you take California out of the equation, Trump wins an electoral college landslide, and he also wins the popular vote. So, we are not a democracy. We are a republic. We continue.
Gets 2 scoops of vanilla ice cream with his chocolate cream pie instead of the single scoop for everyone else.
He gains weight, according to these sources. He doesn't trust people around him. He's withdrawing. Not a good picture.
He now lives within himself, which is a dangerous place for him to be.
If he wants to say that, Barack Obama wants to say whatever. If George Bush says, I looked in his eyes
and thought he took a dump on his desk, you would defend it.
The only winner, the only people who've got to be happy tonight are sitting in the Kremlin. Now he's President Snowflake, okay? Everything he said, oh, they're mean to me and they don't like me and I just don't understand it and it's not fair. This was a white lash. This was a white lash against a changing country. It was a white lash against a black president in part.
Jeff Zucker, are you...
You know, that's really funny, that last one. 2 white people were running for president. Let me rephrase. 2 white people represented the 2 major parties on election night. Okay? How did that happen? How is America? How is this a shot? Electing Trump. How is this a shot against Barack Obama? How? And the lesser political parties, the Green Party, the Libertarian Party, the whatever party, they were all white. Jill Stein, Eric Mullen, Gary Johnson, whoever. They were all white. So how is this a white lash? What? Enough white people didn't vote for Hillary Clinton? Gee, tough. Too bad. How about the fact that Trump received more black and Hispanic votes than Romney and McCain ever received? How about that? How about maybe Black America woke up this year, or technically, last year, 7 months ago? How about that? Maybe they woke up. a white lash. It was inevitable that we were going to get a white president. So I don't get the white lash crap. And then this nonsense that Trump is a snowflake and crying. The man is a self-made billionaire. Do you understand that? He doesn't need us. He could have retired. He could have retired to Tahiti if he felt like it. All right. He doesn't need this. I mean, a guy like Barack Obama to become a multi-gazillionaire that he's on his way to, he needed the presidency. See, he needed to destroy this country. See, Hillary Clinton needed to win so her Clinton Foundation could keep going. You see, she lost, so her support basically has abandoned her. All I hear is, and I don't know how true it is, but all I hear is the Clinton Foundation is over, it's bankrupt, and whatever, and she's basically out of it, right? I mean, who hears from this woman? Who cares? Trump could have stayed on The Apprentice. Trump could have created another TV show. He could create a news show. He could sit there and anchor it if he felt like it for 3 hours a day like Alex Jones. And he doesn't care if he didn't make any money. I mean, he could have. He didn't need the presidency to keep his ego going and to stay in the public eye. He was already there as a private person for the past 40 years. And as far as withdrawing from his administration, he hasn't withdrawn enough. He needs to basically fire everybody. He needs to declare, I've said it, and I said this not just about Trump. I said this more than 2 years ago. The next incoming president that was sincere about turning this country back to the Constitution, back to a nation of laws and obeying those laws, would basically have to become like Julius Caesar and declare himself or herself dictator without actually mouthing the words. He or she would have to executive order till their wrist received carpal tunnel and they couldn't write anymore. And Donald Trump may be on his way to, quite frankly, declaring some sort of martial law and suspending federal district courts and suspending, if he has to, in essence, Congress. He just might have to. But we'll see. Because I'm encouraged now. I'm encouraged by the Supreme Court. And I'm having a good feeling that they're going to do the right thing. I have a feeling that if Trump doesn't get congressional support for the border wall, and we, ladies and gentlemen, we need to keep pushing him. You know, if I just send him a tweet, it'll never get to him. But can you imagine if 10 million people tweet him, "We want the wall, we want the wall, we want the wall"? He could executive order the funding, somebody could fight him, but I think the Supreme Court would uphold it. And that goes for anything else. Donald Trump could end Obamacare right now just by stopping the funding. Jerome Corsi covered this on the Alex Jones show, and I should try to find his article again. I believe I read it or I posted it a while back. I'm going to have to try to find this again. They could end Obamacare if they wanted to tonight. I mean, like right now. We're just not going to fund it. And he could executive order it. Somebody could fight it, take it to court. And believe me, he could do it. And it wouldn't take that tough of a lawyer to show how it's just collapsing state by state by state. Doctors don't like it. Hospitals don't like it. Insurance companies don't like it. They're all bailing. They're going bankrupt. The country doesn't want it. Nobody wants it except extreme libtards and poor people that want handouts. I'm sorry. But that's the way it is. So I'm going to continue with the clip since I jumped on healthcare. Actually, I'm going to wait. Because Hannity's going to wrap that up. But I want to jump on this. Now, this comes from the New York Times. I know, fake news. You know what? Quickly, I'm a little irritated with that, okay? Just because you don't like a news source doesn't mean something is fake. Now, true. Something that sounds so outrageous, I think we could tell that it's fake. And I know Hannity is using the term fake news. It's coming from Trump, coming from Alex Jones. Really, it's just a shortened version of saying politically skewed news. And the clip that I was playing, that montage of these libtards talking about ice cream, that Trump gets 2 scoops, and this was a white lash against America. That's BS, but that doesn't mean that the New York Times, the Washington Post, CNN, they're not fake, they're just corrupt, and they lie. But this article here is not a lie. They're talking about that the only thing that Republicans and Democrats can agree on this health care bill is to not vote on it this week. Like the first ACA, no one has read it. The senators don't have time to read it, that question it, and they're just trying to pound it through. The biggest argument here is that it damages Medicaid. It cuts back Medicaid. Well, look, here's the situation, folks. We're going bankrupt. Something has to give. These government programs have just grown too large. Now, I can play both sides of the coin here. I could agree with the Republicans, that want to ram this through and cut Medicaid because, it's busting out and the debt is growing. Now, I can play the other side, and that's not the Democrat side. I can play the side of common sense and say, well, if the money wasn't going towards certain things like, I don't know, maybe over 190 military bases worldwide, or I don't know, maybe funding 2 endless wars in the Middle East, and because I don't count Afghanistan exactly as the Middle East because it's really on the outskirts, but the Asian continent. Let's just make it general, okay? The Asian continent. So, I could talk that way. I could say, maybe we don't have to cut Medicaid exactly. Maybe other areas can be cut first. How about lowering taxes first, putting more money in all of our pockets, encouraging American companies to hire Americans and discouraging through certain tax penalties on these American companies hiring foreigners? How about parents stop ass-kissing their children and allowing them to sit home and get their asses out and go to work part-time? How about like I had to do when I was 16, and I'm sure most of you people listening to my show had to do? So, there's a lot of cleanup that we can do culturally and within the government before just slashing one particular program. There are things we could do. So I could play both sides here. And another thing that really irritates me about this bill, and I have talked about it at length, and you really don't even see this mentioned on television, is this 30% surcharge for people that don't have continuous coverage. Now, we're in the worst political shape in a 10-year stretch, in my estimation, than we've been in since the Great Depression. And it is it really freaks me out when I have to read about a 30% surcharge on people that didn't have continuous coverage. Now, I understand that there are certain people that want to beat the system and say, well, I'm really healthy right now. I don't want to have insurance. I want to put my money somewhere else. Oops, I just came back from the doctors. I've got this disease. Now I want insurance, and I shouldn't be bent over for it. Well, sorry. If you have purposefully not gotten health insurance because of your ideology and your belief system, and now all of a sudden you have a problem, but you want to pass it on to other people, basically to the health insurance company and all of their clients. Well, see, that's no good. But when people lose their jobs, not of their own device, they didn't get fired because they came to work drunk, they didn't embezzle, they didn't punch their boss in the face, they didn't curse at somebody over the phone, they lost their job because, they got outsourced to India, and then they have to make a decision, food or health insurance. Well, I think food is going to be chosen. Then it takes them some time to get a job, to get back on their feet, and now you're going to slam them with a 30% surcharge, and it sounds like it's on your yearly premium. So if you've got a family and you're paying, let's just take $1,000 a month. That's $12,000 for the year. You're gonna pay Blue Cross and Blue Shield a $3,600 penalty. That's $300 a month over and above because you suffered some hard times, or how about you went through a divorce and now you've got child support. You lost your insurance. Maybe you had it under your wife. She threw you off of it let's just say for spite. And then you're under the same scenario, and now you're in a position where you can get your own insurance, and now you just got hit with the 30% surcharge. I've got a big problem with that. And also, Senate leaders are looking for a way to address a conspicuous omission. And I just grabbed this part of the article due to time constraints. The bill requires insurers to accept anyone who applies, anyone, but repeals the mandate for people to have coverage and does not replace it with anything. Well, that's not true. Again, the 30% surcharge. So people could wait and buy insurance only when they need it. Insurers say they need large numbers of healthy people to help pay for those who are sick. That's absolutely true. See, there's what's called a risk pool. And that's why, again, I have a problem with so-called children staying on their insurance, on their parents' insurance plan until they're 26. I'm sorry, you're 26 years old, you're a freaking adult. Now, I understand if you're physically or mentally handicapped and you can't support yourself, that's a different ballgame. Or, if crap happened and you couldn't go to college right away, but now you're in a position to go to college full time and you're starting at 22 and your parents can help you by giving you a roof over your head and you're going to school full time, that's fine. But it sounds like, I'm 25 years old and, I'm making $50,000 a year, but I'm still living at home because mommy and daddy are letting me and I'm staying under their plan and I don't have to pay for it. See, well, that hurts the risk pool. So what happens is you have more people on insurance, you have less people paying, the premiums go up. That's just how it works. If 1,000 people are on an insurance plan and only 80 people are paying for it, that's a problem. their premiums are going to be higher than Model B that has 1,000 people on it, but 400 people are paying the premium. You get it? It spreads the risk. There's more money coming in per person. So it lowers the risk. And all this does, it just allows insurance companies to have skyrocketing premiums, and basically it keeps us broke. Because think about it. If you own a home, you need home insurance. Then you need car insurance, you have a car. You need life insurance in case you die. Now you need health insurance. So you could basically insure your ass into poverty. Okay? That's basically what America is facing. Now, Republicans said they might revise their bill to establish a 6-month waiting period for people who go without insurance and then want to sign up, in the belief that this would encourage consumers to maintain continuous coverage. And again, which is 30% surcharge. So, to me, this is no different. Actually, it feels kind of worse than the penalty that Americans faced with Obamacare. The first penalty was what, 2% or some of your salary or what have you. I mean, whereas I gave the example of $1,000 a month. Some people are paying $1,500, $2,000 a month for their family's plan. And so, the surcharge, the 30%, can be on an infinite number for all we know. So instead of putting the money into the IRS, I get that. We all hate the IRS, but it's putting the money into the insurance companies. I have a problem with that. So I think that the bill is just Obamacare light. I think it just gives even more profit to the insurance companies, and basically we, the people, are the losers. Okay? That's where I see this healthcare going in its present form. So let's go back to Sean Hannity's clip responding to the montage of the leftist media.
Really proud? Are you really believing that is a renaissance in journalism? Now remember, according to the President Trump, he actually said, well, he helped get Zucker his job with CNN. Wow, I guess no good deed goes unpunished. All right, now let's take a look at the NBC News chairman, Andy Lack. Now, Lack, by the way, is a New York City native, a liberal, longtime so-called journalist. He started his career at CBS, ultimately becoming the president of NBC News in the early 90s. Now, Lack then bounced around with a few other corporations before returning to NBC News as its president in 2015. At the time, Variety reported, quote, Andrew Lack returns to NBC as news chief, will face challenges restoring credibility. So has Andy Lack succeeded in restoring credibility over at NBC News? We report, you decide, fair and balanced. Watch this.
Donald Trump, again, being a schmuck. He looked like a thug. He looked like a goon. You look at the handshake. You look at this. Just what a thug! This is so unbalanced. This is so. He is not well. He's Vladimir Putin's hostage. Totally unprepared for the job of being president. Unfortunately, not knowing what he does not know,
and possibly unfit mentally. Sorry.
It would be like somebody pooping their pants and then people looking at it and saying, oh, that's modern art.
When the president asked the FBI director for loyalty, he's actually trying to change the character of the American government. Hitler in 1934 began to demand precisely loyalty.
He said today, America first. It was not just the racial, the Hitlerian background to it.
Here you have a deranged president or a pathologically lying president.
A lot of people who I think are critical of Donald Trump generally look at praise like that from somebody like Donald Duke and wonder if he is a gateway drug.
Really? A schmuck? You call the president of the United States a thug, a goon? Daily unhinged emotional outbursts. Daily. NBC News. And by the way, if you think that's bad, remember, NBC now has even been known to float bizarre tinfoil hat, black helicopter, Russia conspiracy theories night after night after night for months and months and months. Of course, their flagship program on cable, The Rachel Maddow Show. Watch the theories evolve daily.
Just last week, Reuters reported on 18 new previously undisclosed contacts between the Trump campaign and Russian government officials.
U.S. investigators, including the FBI, are looking into a Russian citizen in conjunction with one of the incidents on the Trump campaign last year.
Maybe he's not as charitable as he says, or maybe he's not really under audit. Like, all of those little things might be true. Okay, that'd be interesting to know. I don't know that that would change the world that much. But what would change the world is if, Russia was interfering in the election, and they weren't doing it on their own, and he was in on it.
The FBI director being fired by the president to try to change or stop an FBI investigation into the president's campaign and his top staffers. That is a big freaking deal.
If it wasn't so sad, it's actually funny. So I asked, Andy, are you proud of that kind of reporting? Tom Brokaw, are you proud of that? My former colleague, Megyn Kelly, I think is a better journalist than that on her worst day. Are you proud, Megyn? Are you proud, Matt Lauer? Now, in case you're still wondering what party affiliation these two fake news chiefs belong to, look no further than their campaign contributions. All right, since 2000, Jeff Zucker's wife has donated a whopping couple of $1,000s to the DNC, and that pales in comparison to the very generous Andy Lack and the Lack family. Andrew, well, he's contributed over $50,000 to Democrats since 2002, including President Obama, Hillary Clinton, Maxine Waters, Barbara Boxer. And meanwhile, his wife, Betsy, well, she's contributed more than $100,000 to Democratic candidates and causes.
Yeah, I think Hannity says it all right there. If it wasn't so pathetic and sad, and also if it wasn't so manipulating to the brainwashed people, to the blue pillars, this would be funny. I mean, calling Donald Trump schmuck and his poop being art. And now I really want to talk about Chris Matthews. Putting America first is racist. I mean, so I can interpret that as meaning, according to Chris Matthews, only white people are Americans. I guess blacks and Hispanics and Asians, I guess they're not Americans. I thought we were all Americans. I thought America was e pluribus unum, out of many come one, right? So, but not according to Chris Matthews. I guess only white people consider themselves Americans, and well, putting America first is putting white people first and leaving everybody else behind. I guess that is what Chris Matthews is saying. So, who's the real racist here? Could you imagine being black and Chris Matthews doesn't think that you are an American? That's basically what he's saying. And, here's the deal. People, heads of CNN and MSNBC and all, mainstream media in general, wonder why their audiences are dropping like flies. Alex Jones has been talking about ad nauseum, and I'm just going to say it's kind of getting irritating talking about his interview with Megyn Kelly. All right, first of all, nobody twisted his arm. He knew what was coming, and look, we know he did it to get his name out there even more, because look, people are still attached to the mainstream media. People are probably looking forward for Megyn Kelly to bash Alex Jones, and I forgot who said it, but there's no such thing as bad publicity. So we know why Alex Jones did the interview, to get more exposure. And I'm getting a little sick of just hearing about the bitch and moan session about how she screwed him. He knew that was coming. We know that she edited the stuff, okay? We know it. Enough already. But one thing he did say that's quite relevant is that looks like she had the lowest Dateline ratings of anybody. And that comes as no surprise. Does it really? I mean, it's no surprise, folks. When do you think Larry King left CNN and went to RT? He saw the writing on the wall. Why do you think Mark Levin has his own internet channel now? Why do you think Michael Savage has been independent and has his own Savage Nation show on his own platform for years in conjunction with his terrestrial radio? What do you think that is? Because it's obvious why. When you have tracks like that on a nightly basis, who wants to hear that garbage? Even libtards aren't watching, because you know what? Subconsciously, somewhere in their brain, somewhere in there, they realize this is horse manure. But they're so deeply into that vortex, they're so deeply into the cognitive dissonance, they're desperately hanging on. Because you know what? And this happened to me with 9/11. Because I didn't want to believe it. And I was a staunch Republican, Reaganite, salute the flag. And I'm not disparaging the flag. I love my country. I don't love the government. I don't love the people running it. I'm still pro-Trump, but overall, so I am not a dissident, and I am not a traitor, and I'm not an American, okay? I'm very much pro-Constitution. So let's just leave that right there. But I was very, mainstream and all that other good stuff. And it was hard for me to accept certain truths. It's not easy. So, I am not without sympathy or empathy for people desperately hanging on to what they believe. But they know somewhere deep inside. They know it. And you know what, folks? That's why they're even more violent. Now, I'm not going to get to the two articles I have on leftists not being liberals, but really being fascist and totalitarians. I'll save that for tomorrow because I want to do the second Hannity clip. But this is why they're getting so violent. And this is why homosexuals, they're not gay. They're not happy. Gay means light-hearted and happy and joyous and light. They're not. They're not. Quite frankly, they can get very vicious. Okay? They're not easy to work with, and they're not easy to deal with. And once they get their back up, like I said, they can be very, very vicious people. Because somewhere in their brain, they know that they are unnatural and that something's wrong with them. They know it. And that's why they're so fascist and brutal in making us accept them. Because quite frankly, deep down, those militant ones, they don't accept themselves. And that's the truth. So, we've got 5 minutes left. We're going to go a little over. I want to play the second Hannity clip where, again, he rips Ted Koppel, who is an old, senile joke. And Chris Wallace ain't much better, to tell you the truth. So here's Sean Hannity ripping Ted Koppel.
All right, this all started 3 weeks ago when I agreed to do an interview with CBS Sunday Morning and their special contributor, Ted Koppel. Now, the interview lasted well over 45 minutes, and we discussed in great detail why there's such a great divide in America, in politics, and in media. Now, in my honest opinion, the exchange was actually a very good substantive give and take, and worthwhile for any audience to see. However, out of the 45-minute sit-down, well, here is all that CBS Sunday Morning decided to air. Take a look. Honestly, I think liberalism has to be defeated. Socialism must be defeated in a political sense. This is not a... we don't want a revolution in this country.
What more do you want? You got the White House, you got the House, you got the Senate. Okay.
And then we have angry snowflakes, and then we've got a Democratic establishment. I say the press in this country is out to destroy this president. We have to give some credit to the American people that they're somewhat intelligent and that they know the difference between an opinion show and a news show.
Yeah.
You're cynical. Look at it. Yeah.
I am cynical because,
You think we're bad for America? You think I'm bad for America?
Yeah.
You do?
In the long haul, I think you and all these opinion shows...
That's sad, Ted.
No, you know why?
That's sad.
Because you're very good at what you do, and because you have attracted a significant...
You see that right there? That is the typical ploy of the liberals. They give you a backhanded compliment. They condescend to you. You know, you're really an intelligent guy, but you're really doing a disservice to America. Or you get the, you are so intelligent, yet you say things like that. I'm surprised at you. I would think that you would have evolved into, whatever their model is. I am deeply disappointed. I thought you were smarter than that. You see, that's the condescending platitude that they give. And then, see, what they're hoping to do is, oh, shucks. Wow, you may be right. That was barbaric of me. That was rigid of me. That was close-minded of me. You really thank you that you think I'm intelligent. Gee, I don't want to disappoint you. I don't want to come off as unintelligent. See, that's the ploy. That condescending crap. You're really good at what you do. It's a shame that you're steering so many people astray. That's what's coming next.
Let me finish the sentence before you do that.
With all due respect.
You have attracted people who are determined that ideology is more important than facts.
Wow. It's kind of calling me a liar. And then he's saying, well, you and all these opinion shows, he's giving his opinion.
I got to stop right there. That's a lot of nerve on the part of Ted Koppel. That's a lot of freaking nerve. I mean, that took a lot of balls. See, and that is the clearest model of someone that is full of crap, deflecting and pushing on his lies and his garbage onto the person that he's targeting. Because that's really an outlandish statement. He's saying to Hannity, your ideology is more important than facts. Really? Well, who's really doing that? The left is really doing that. Their ideology of a green earth, an all-natural earth, but they completely deny the facts that carbon dioxide emissions have been the lowest they've been in 100 years. And as a matter of fact, if you keep dropping carbon dioxide, trees are not going to be able to produce oxygen that we need to breathe, you see. And their ideology of this global warming crap, they ignore the facts that our coal industry has basically been shipped to China, who ranks in the 130s in environmental performance, as opposed to the United States of America being ranked in the 30s. But let's ignore those facts. Or how about the fact that Donald Trump is pro-America, everybody? Let's ignore that fact to keep the ideology of, well, he's Hitler. And forget the facts that communism has down and outright failed in every single country it's been in. Let's ignore those facts, but the ideology of everybody getting, a so-called fair share and making the rich pay their fair share and I'm entitled to stuff, that's more important than building a future for our up-and-coming children. So, Ted Koppel, you, sir, are a lying scumbag. Yeah, I said it. We continue.
Only 70 seconds, that's it, ended up airing. Now, I guess people like Ted Koppel feel you, the American people, can't distinguish between opinion and news. That's kind of like Obama. Remember he said people clinging to their God, guns, and religion, or Hillary Clinton who said ignorant, irredeemable, deplorables. Now, beyond this interview being a total waste of my time, it is a flagrant example of what I call edited fake news. Now, remember CBS News is the former home of Dan Rather. Remember he was forced to resign after reporting an inflammatory fake news story about President George W. Bush. Rather used fake documents to bolster his story. Now, CBS News is also the former home of Cheryl Atkinson. Remember, she there was marginalized at CBS and stonewalled, and they wouldn't show a lot of our investigative journalism into President Obama as his administration. Is that agenda-driven? And now they produce a package taking shots at me, all while prominently displaying their dishonesty, their bias, and total hypocrisy here for every viewer to see. Now, Ted's interview with me, it wasn't about substance. It wasn't about getting my real opinion. Now, the story was written long before he walked into this studio here at Fox. I was just used as a prop to advance his narrative, which is why only 1 minute and 10 seconds out of the 45 to 50 minutes was actually used. In other words, it was 1 minute, and that's the 1 minute that fit into their narrative. That is edited fake news. By the way, other networks, they play the same game, and they have for many years. And now it's time to expose this for what it really is, and I have the ability to fight back. Cheap shot attacks in the name of, quote, journalism, all to advance their biased agenda. Now, what Ted was really asking is this: are opinion shows bad for America? He thinks they are. Meanwhile, Ted was giving his opinion. He considers himself an impartial journalist, yet in what CBS News was airing, he's doing exactly what he said is bad for America. Now, right here on this show, on Hannity, I express my opinion because I am a talk show host, an advocacy journalist, if you will. Ted Koppel, he thinks he's down the middle, fair and balanced, a real journalist. Ted, you show in this clip you are not a journalist. You're very hypocritical here. Now, have you ever said, for example, you work for CBS, Dan Rather worked for CBS? Ted, did you ever say that George W. Bush, the attack by Dan Rather, was bad for America? Did you ever say CBS, when they spiked Cheryl Atkinson's story, that that's bad for America? Did you ever wonder if the stories were spiked because the head of CBS News and that division, David Rhodes, happens to be the brother of Ben Rhodes, the high-ranking official for then-President Obama? Is that a conflict of interest? Now, I'm willing to look at my body of work and compare it with CBS News any day of the week. Did CBS...
Speaking of conflict of interest, and I'm not going to go into that, Robert Mueller, best friend with James Comey. Yeah, you want to talk about conflict of interest? He should be forcibly removed from this fake Russian gate crap like yesterday. Okay? We continue.
News even one time ever asked President Obama about his relationship with an unrepentant terrorist where he started his political career. Well, I did CBS's job. I did it for you, Ted. Did you ever delve deep into what black liberation theology is and how it motivated President Obama, then candidate Obama, for over 20 years? The Church of Reverend Wright, the Church of GD America, the Church of America's Chickens Have Come Home to Roost. Now, after 8 years of Obama, did CBS ever show the numbers on the screen there about what a failure the Obama presidency was? Now, you know what? I put those up on the screen on a regular basis. And by the way, Ted, I did mention this to you in the interview. All of these facts were given to you, but you edited it all out. Did CBS ever put up all the laws that Hillary Clinton likely violated with her email server scandal so she could avoid congressional oversight? Did CBS ever expose all the Benghazi lies of Hillary Clinton? We did on this program. Did CBS ever cover in great detail how...
Speaking of those things, arrests have to be made, President Trump, by the end of the year, and not some irrelevant chick named Reality Winner. Arrests better be made on some major players in this nonsense that took place for 8 years. If there is not an arrest by one of these major players by Christmas, I think we, the people, have to demand why it hasn't taken place. And don't tell me that the Department of Justice needs more than 6 months of investigating before an indictment is made and an arrest is made. Don't give me that garbage. All right? That too should have been done yesterday. There's enough on these people. I want somebody in handcuffs. Be it Comey, Lynch, Holder, Obama, Bill and Hillary Clinton, who, far as I'm concerned, both Bill and Hillary are involved in all of this. I don't care if it's just Comey to start with, because I know there's a hierarchy. I get it. But there better be an arrest made. If it's not by Christmas, we, the American people, have to really ask, okay, what's really going on here? So let's finish up with Hannity. There's a minute and a half.
Members of the media colluded with the Clinton campaign in this election cycle? We did here. How much time did CBS devote to this phony Russian conspiracy story, even though after 8 months there isn't a shred of evidence? Now, that's the difference, Ted, between me and you. I'm honest with my audience. I don't pretend that I'm fair and balanced and objective. You do. And if you really cared about truth in journalism, how can you work for a network that only tells one side of the story? You know, how can I be bad for America when I'm offering the American people news and information nightly that your own network will not touch because they have an agenda? Now, Ted, I happen to be very proud of the work I do both on radio and TV. I'm proud of the teams that we have built here that work really hard every day to bring this audience news and information that, well, frankly, the rest of the media ignores. So I hope you enjoyed your press coverage this weekend and covering how bad I am for America while editing out 99% of what I said. But what you really did is prove my point, that I'm right. You exposed yourself as agenda-driven, opinionated, hypocritical, and you proved my point I've been saying since 2007 and 8. Journalism is dead in America, and we have an information crisis in this country. Now, Ted, if you and CBS News have the courage, release the entire unedited footage of the interview. Let America decide. Let America see the 99% that you didn't want to air.
See, and that's how I feel in what I'm doing. I, too, am giving my opinion. I try to give you the realest news out there, right? And, yeah, I give my opinion. And I am not agenda-driven other than trying to share with you the truth to what's going on here, yeah, as I see it. And that's why I've taken hits from both sides of the aisle, and on Facebook. And you know what? When I'm ticking off liberals and so-called conservatives on Facebook, then I know I'm on the right course. Because I'm not agenda-driven, and I don't slant things for a biased cause. I do these things, I talk about these things because I see them as important. I see them as relevant to the future of this country, of this world, and then it's up to you. It's up to you to want to continue to listen. It's up to you to give me praise, or it's up to you to criticize. And quite frankly, on Facebook, if let's say out of 100 reactions, I get 85 good ones, and I get about 15 bad ones. I get some insults, I get some slurs, it's all right, but overwhelmingly, I get good stuff. I get good, encouraging likes, or I just get a like. Or when I do a Facebook Live, I get way more likes than I do the laugh or the anger. So, I know I'm on the right track when I'm pissing off both extremes. Because I'm going to call things right down the middle. And it doesn't make me a moderate. When I say calling things down the middle, I mean, this is how I see it. This is what I see happening based on a multitude of sources. Then I filter that onto my show. So that's what Hannity does. Quite frankly, Jones does that too. And one thing Hannity should have done that Jones did, and that was Jones was recording Megyn Kelly's entire time there. So Jones already has the full and unedited clips, whereas CBS is where Hannity did this interview. They have the entire unedited interview. Hannity has nothing. He has no audio. So that's one place where Jones did it right. At any rate, thank you for tuning in. My name is Michael B. This is the Truth Zone. See you back tomorrow, 10 a.m. Central Time.